In this video, I want to take you on a journey on how I applied for Nanny Visa and Student Visa for my nephew, and that was a Nanny Visa for my sister. And everything took 2 years, a good 2 years, to have the work permit released. Hello everyone, this is Rice and this is
Rafael,
and this is Quest Canada.
The entire journey started in September of 2022 and I think it lasted until December of 2022, and it was a preparation journey in which we had to gather numerous documents, in which my mom had to gather a certificate document for a caregiver, for a childhood caregiver, and she also had to gather documents like the ILs and numerous employment documents as well.
And just to give a little bit of a background there, the certificate of a caregiver that was taken by my sister was not really an in-class certification or class. It was an online class that lasted for 3 weeks, and that's it. With the Home Childcare Provider Pathway, it was not really a requirement for the nanny to be professional or licensed healthcare provider, but there certainly is a requirement for the person to be eligible and capable to take care of a child. Another important document that was prepared well in advance was the employment certificate. And I have to tell you guys, my sister didn't have any professional experience. She didn't work in a organization or any institution or any school for taking care of a baby or a child. But what we did is that we had our sisters who had children and write employment certificates or employment letters on behalf of my sister, saying that this is the name of the person, this is how long she took care of their children, and this is from this year to that year, and the responsibilities he had taken to take care of their children. We had about 3 sisters who provided employment certificates for my sister in order for us to provide the capability or to prove that my sister does have an experience in taking care of children.
And my mom did the education equivalency with Wes and also did some first aid classes as well.
The entire preparation lasted 4 months. So it was from September to December, and January 1st, 2023, the application for HCCP or the Home Childcare Provider Program opened January 1st at 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. I already had my plans done and dusted during that time. It was the very first day of New Year of 2023. I had a friend of mine who helped me do the application online because really guys, I'm quite slow when it comes to typing, and I had a friend who was very fast. I knew that the moment that the application opens, then it will be high time for everyone across the world doing the online application.
By the way guys, if you are looking for any caregiver jobs in New Brunswick, please go and subscribe to our questjobs.online portal.
If you will look at the questjobs.online and look at the various AIP jobs either in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and PEI, and search continuing care assistant programs, you will find various jobs where international applicants, open work permit holders, and PGWP holders are eligible to apply. We have tagged every single job in this website or in this portal to make it easier for you to assess whether or not you are eligible for a specific job listing. The application opened at 9 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of January 2023. Right that very second it opened, we were already online doing our applications. We submitted our application at 11:30 in the morning of the same day, and at 12 o'clock of that very same day, the entire portal closed because the HCCP had already reached the maximum amount or the target application. And if we were not able to plan ahead of time with the documentations, with all the papers, and with all the certifications, we would have not been able to make that submission because the online application would request for a certain document, and if you are not able to submit that document at that very second, then you are not able to go to the next step. And therefore, we were able to make that submission because we were ready.
We had no financial documents, as a matter of fact, because all of our financial documents was handled by our sponsor, which was was my aunt.
One of the misconceptions with regards to people who want to sponsor their family to Canada is that, specifically with Nanny Visa, is that people believe that you have to show so much assets, you have to show so much income, you have to show so much investments in terms of finances in order for your application to be approved. And this could not be further from the truth. Honestly, guys, the most important thing and the primary thing that you have to prove really is, one, that you have a job and you have a stable income, and two, that you are able to pay the salary. That's it. And that's what I did, and that's what I focused on when we did the application for the Nanny Visa.
When my aunt applied for our visa, I was 18 years old. But because I am under the age of maturity, I was able to tag along and become a dependent to my mother's visa.
So I'd give you a timeline here. The 1st of January was the date that I submitted the application for both them. The Nanny Visa, which is the work permit, and the student visa, which is Rafael. The application happened on the 1st of January. It was quiet until July, and on the second week of August, I received the first message from the IRCC asking for additional documents. The additional documents were essentially the proof that I had already given birth and that I actually needed help. And the second document that were required was my income, or the proof of income from my side. During the time, I was already on maternity leave, and therefore what I did was that I asked for an employment letter from my company, which was an Irving company. I asked them to prove or provide me a letter confirming that I am still employed with the company and that I will go back to that job as soon as my maternity leave is done. I submitted those required documents within 10 days or 12 days that they were asked, and come November 2023, the IRCC came back to me asking me for the notice of assessment from the last 3 years, either or. So they did not actually ask me for the entire 3 years, they just asked me to provide either 2022 or 2021 or 2020, which is a good thing because I had a choice. There were years that I was earning more and there were years that I was earning less. So obviously I chose the year where I was earning more, and that's the document that I provided to the IRCC within 3 days of asking that document. Another top tip that I would like to share with you guys is that I applied for my sister's tourist visa in December of 2022, and I applied for her nanny visa or work permit in January 2023. I would have thought, or many people would have thought, that there could be a conflict there, and therefore the tourist visa could not be approved. There is a possibility, or the work permit could not be approved. There is also the possibility. But the thing is, both of those visas were actually approved. So to those who are thinking of doing the same, this is absolutely doable. The only important factor that you have to consider is that you have to have your documents in place and that you should be able to show that you have got proper resources when it comes to income to sustain the living cost of your tourist visa holder.
Another top tip is that when my aunt applied for our visa in January of 2023, I was not required by the IRCC to have a letter of acceptance because I was still at the age of 18, and according to Canadian standards, I was still a high schooler.
And so November was the last time on the year of 2023 that I heard any information from the IRCC. Come February 2024, that was the time that the open restricted work permit for my sister was approved and the study permit for my nephew was approved. Now, the open restricted work permit means that the person can work for any individual as long as the job is of the same nature. Therefore, my sister can work for any person as long as it is not an institution, not a school, not an organization, not a company. It has to be a person, and the job should be as a nanny. It cannot be any other kind of position. That's the open restricted work permit. So the work permit and the study permit were released in February of 2024. During this time, we were actually, the following day, we were scheduled to fly to the Philippines for our holiday, and there was a whole lot of confusion because we could not decide if we had to go back to the Philippines and take that holiday or we stay in Canada to just bail the work permit and send send the passport of my sister to Ottawa. We had a 3-hour discussion, me and my sister, until such time that we decided, okay, it's better to go to the Philippines. And that's exactly what we did. Now, when we were in the Philippines, is a totally different scenario because the Philippines has got a Ragnarok. It's just a plethora of documentations and bureaucracy in order for a Filipino citizen to leave the country on a work permit to another country. And I will take you on that separate journey. In order for the immigration personnel in the airport of the Philippines in Manila to allow my sister to board the plane coming to Canada, there are a multitude of documents. There's the certificate of work permit, there is the clearance, there is a ton load of documentations that would have taken us at least 6 to 8 months to complete. And we were only in the Philippines for 3 months. There was no way we could complete everything. There are documents that we needed to have notarized in Canada, and there are documents that we needed to be notarized in the Philippines as well. There was just immense, and we were overwhelmed with all the documents. So what we did, and this is what I'm sharing with you guys, whether you will do the same thing or not is within your power and within your decision. What we did is that we bought a ticket from Manila to Singapore as a tourist for her. So she flew from Manila to Singapore as a tourist. In Singapore, Filipino citizens do not require a visa. From Singapore to Toronto and from Toronto to Moncton. So those are 2 different tickets. It was a much more expensive pathway that we did, but it was faster and it was not overwhelming. So when we apply for their PR in November, Rafael will still be a dependent even if he is already 20 years old by the time we apply for their PR, and that's because 20 years old is still within the age of maturity in New Brunswick, and the age of maturity is 22 years old and below, and this is the reason why he can still be a dependent. The moment that the PR is released for both of them, that's the time that he will start, or we will apply for his schooling at the MBCC, because at that point the tuition is only half. Right now the tuition at NVCC for international students is about 12,000. If he is on PR, then his tuition will be half.